Welcome to Planning Phase Syndicate, episode 83. We make our own decisions, our own choices, and then we live with them. Welcome, everyone, to the episode where we talk about Kyber Cup and break down some of the different lists and factions. Maybe we won't break down lists. We're going to break down pilots instead tonight. We're also going to kick off two new series, folks. We have two new things that we're kicking off tonight that we talked about last week. So if you missed last week's episode about the direction of the podcast, head back on over there and check it out, episode 82, where we talk about some of the new series that we are going to kick off. Tonight, we are going to kick off our new Academy 101 series, where we talk about list archetypes. We're also going to kick off our new quick opening segment where we talk a little bit about pilot rankings. Tonight, it's going to be a little bit more than just a few minutes, though, as we're going to go through how we're going to rank everything, where the numbers and the lists and the things come from, how we can rank it by scenario, and then we're going to look at, can we do an average for this pilot? We're going to kind of go from there. Joining me tonight, we have a guest. We have JJ too. JJ will be back. Charles, unfortunately, was sick, but we do have a guest that is joining us here tonight. Please give a warm welcome from Alex of the second best Michigan team, the Best Spin Benchwarmers. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Ouch. I mean, I guess that is appropriate given we are the Benchwarmers, but ouch.
Yeah. Twice now, my friend. The West Side has shown up.
Who won GT? It wasn't Grand
It was
Rapids.
a tie. It was a tie. It actually was a tie. Officially was not one.
Yes, hi. My name's Alex. I kind of host the Best in Benchwarmers podcast and reside in Detroit. Good old Michigan-based things.
Yeah. And so we decided to have Alex on because I promised him he could be on the show, I don't know, back in October. And then I forgot about it. And then we all went down to Rust Cup. And then I was like, you should come on and we should analyze Rust Cup. And he was like, I'm just too tired. I can't do this. You guys gave us too bad of a beating that night. So he had to take the night off, and then we had a bunch of vacation time. And then I thought, hey, what a great opportunity with Charles being sick and Alex kind of stepping in and helping us kind of go through pilot rankings and all of that fun stuff. So welcome to the show, Alex.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about all this.
Yeah. So JJ, how was your weekend? I don't think I heard from JJ more than 3 times this whole weekend. So no games got played this weekend.
Yeah. So my mother is in the process of deciding whether or not she wanted to move. To all of a sudden she had to move immediately because another apartment that she wanted had opened up immediately. So we got the text on Friday saying, hey, we need you tomorrow morning to come help us move. And we did. So I spent the entirety of yesterday moving from a one floor, the first floor apartment to a third floor apartment. Man, stairs are a killer. God, man, they're killer. So I spent the rest of today basically just resting because it took all of my willpower to make it down the stairs this morning. And enjoy the Giants game that we won. We beat the Minnesota Vikings. So excited. And go Giants, my team.
Well, hopefully they will lose in the next round. That way we can have a final like send off for the Giants for this year. I don't know. I don't watch football, so I don't know anything about football. Other than the Lions somehow almost made it this year. I know that. But they didn't. But I kind of wanted them to make it so that they could beat the Giants. I think JJ and I had a bet going. I deleted it, though, because I don't remember what it was, so I deleted that part out. That way I don't have to be held down to... I think we bet like $100 or something like that.
Yes. Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. And now we can't complete the bet, and I don't want it sitting out there till next year.
Right.
Alex, how was your weekend? So Alex is from Michigan. You don't live on the east side, though, do you? You live somewhere in the weird middle of nowhere of Michigan.
What? No, I live in Livonia, sir.
Oh, do you? Okay, I thought for whatever reason you lived in like Mount Pleasant area.
No, that's Mark Roberts, Sanzuski, all them.
Oh, okay.
Way out there.
All right. So you're not that far.
Yeah. It's still quite a drive to your guys' location, unfortunately. That's a couple hours, but yeah. I'm out in Livonia. It's nice.
Well, awesome. If you have not heard of the Bespin Bench Warmers, there will be a link in the description where we will actually have where you can actually check out their podcast. I believe they are on the same service that we are on Podbean. So if you're following us on Podbean, you can catch them there, or you could catch them on any one of your favorite podcast catchers. And if you didn't know, there is a little rivalry between the West Side and the East Side. Right now, Alex's beard is in it for the win. Mine is not come in that full yet, so I've probably got another 6 months to go.
And I just have a baby beard, or starter. Yeah.
I think between all three of me and my co-hosts, I think we have collectively the best beards in podcasting, Next Wing podcasting.
Well, there you go. So now you have to have me on your show so that you can officially say that. We can put like a stamp of approval on it. We'll say AMG's best bearded podcast in X-Wing.
The best spin, best beard. It's close.
There you go.
Yes, it is.
I'm drinking Traverse City apple whiskey tonight.
Ooh.
I've never had this before. My buddy bought me like a little sampler pack. And I was like, oh, I'm going to try this.
I like Traverse City whiskey. It's pretty solid. And I don't drink a lot of whiskey. I've enjoyed.
Well, awesome. So why don't we go ahead and let's get into some Kyber Cup list breakdown. I'm going to go ahead and transition the screen here. And essentially what we have going on for us is we had a gentleman named Ali Paknul. So if you don't know who Ali is, we have Ali Paknul, and he has, you'll have to send us your list, Greg, if you want me to break it down. Ali Paknul essentially created the looking at it and said, hey, how many ships are in each list? He has a way now to import. If you put the YASB link into his spreadsheet, he has a way to actually import all of the different ships and tell you how many ships there are going to be per list, how many people are flying it, what percentage it is, and then break down all of the actual pilot uses. Because again, this league's a little bit different. So if you don't know what Kyber Cup is, Hexile Gaming is running a league team tournament where basically you pair up with two other people inside of your misfortune. So me and JJ and Brendan are playing together, and I don't know who's playing on Alex's team, to be honest with you.
Matt Corser and Mark Robert. Good old local Michigan folks.
Did Staniszewski not sign up for Kyber Cup?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I don't think he did.
That's a little surprising. I thought he would want some prep for the for Worlds coming up here. But anyway, so Kyber Cup essentially it does similar pairings to how they did how we did with the Nickel City League, except for everything is not extended. And the difference is it kind of goes back and forth where you get to submit a list, get a list, and then the last list kind of gets paired together. So overall, we had roughly 270 players. I did not add all those up, but that's my guess is what those numbers equal to, is roughly around 270. As you can see, Scum is probably the biggest faction besides Empire. And the way Scott created the tournament is, so he put factions into 3 categories, and then Scum was kind of the roamer. So every team member had to fly a faction from a different era in Star Wars. So, obviously Rebels and Empire, then you have Resistance and Republic, and then Separatists and Republic, and Resistance and FO. And then Scum could be flown in one of any of the different factions. So you could run an Empire, a Scum, and a CIS list. You could run a Rebel, CIS, and Scum list, anything you wanted like that. So that's kind of how Scott broke that down. And then everything had to be standard and above board. So as you can see, Empire has the highest number of players in it, which probably should tell us something. I don't know. Alex, what you ran Republic.
I did, yes.
What are your thoughts? You are not the lowest number of players. There is 37 people running Republic, which is kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, I think everyone's just really excited for the SOC pilots, trying to bring new life into that kind of faction, trying them out. Because a lot of what you see in this whole tournament, it's a lot of the new stuff. It's a lot of Hotshots and Aces, a lot of Battle of Yavin, a lot of Siege of Coruscant in here. And the Rebels are the lowest faction down there, and I think that's just because everyone took Empire.
Yeah. I think if you
lock out that whole faction.
Yeah, I mean we did the same thing. Did JJ tell everybody why you selected your Empire list?
Well, to tell you the truth, is the existence of the 6-point Darth Vader. I think that has been the biggest piece for the Empire right now. It's probably the most common pilot that I see in Empire lists right now across the board, even in non-Kyber, for the Empire. I mean, just having that great piece in Empire and a lot of cheap options for the regular TIE fighter pilots, or even mix in a Reaper in there. You just have such versatility with that, your option for list building, that the Empire is in a really great space right now.
Yeah, I would agree.
I will mention there's 54 Empire lists, and 9 of them don't have a Vader pilot.
That's horrible. I guess that's good though. That's good and bad, I guess. So, ugh. See, no, that's going to be a whole different conversation. We'll get to that in a minute. So, Ali actually broke down ship counts. So there was 0 8-ship count lists, and I feel stupid. We should have ran an 8-ship count list, JJ. We should have done it. I could have done it with CIS. I haven't played 8 ships in a while, actually, in Separatist, but we should have done that. We could have been the only team to run an 8-ship Separatist list.
Yeah, you could do a few tries and a bunch of vultures, right? That should be pretty good.
Yeah. Yep. Essentially, because you can run 8 vultures at 2 points each and still have points left over, which is just sad. You still have 4 points left over.
Yeah. Well, if you're making an 8-ship list, right, 7 of those would be vultures. You have 6 points left over even. That's the scary part.
Yep. Which is the Count Dooku, by the way.
Yeah.
Damn it! We should have just ran that. Anyway, so that would have been fun. So anyway, so 0 8-ship count list. There was 8 7-ship count lists, 28 6-ship count lists, 109 5-ship count lists, 91 4-ship count lists, and 39 3-ship count lists. So obviously the highest 2 was 4 and 5-ship counts. Which says even with scenarios, 4 to 5 ships still do very well in scenarios comparatively. When we talk a little bit, about scenarios and we talk about like how X-Wing can be like chess, this 4 to 5 ship count list looks like we're mirroring off very similarly with each other. And that's actually surprising that we didn't have more 6 ship count lists, because you can put 6 ships in Republic. I know that for a fact. And I know you can run that in Resistance and obviously in CIS. So a little surprised we didn't see a little bit more 6 ship count lists than we have.
Yeah, since 2.5 has been a thing, I've always enjoyed 5 ships. I always thought that was good enough to both contest the objectives and also have enough other ships that are in the scrum, dogfighting, all that. So it's not super surprising to me that the highest is 5, but
yeah, for me, like I was a very avid 4-ship lister before 2.5, and I stubbornly stuck to that for a long time. But it's just with the points and availability of like really great pilots with really great loadouts, 5 seems to be the better number to have that balance between objective grabbing and having that offensive potential.
All right, so let's break down. I guess we're not going to break down a bunch of lists, but let's break down some of the pilots and kind of look at the highest used pilots. And I'm not going to go through every single one of these on this list. Obviously, so Boy Vader comes in at 13% in lists. And I think it's when we first saw Boy Vader, we were kind of like, for 1 point more, you can do a whole bunch of other stuff. But 6-point Boy Vader essentially says, oh, you can now afford to run a 4-point TIE fighter called Backstabber that you couldn't run before. So I think that's very interesting. I'm not surprised to see Vader at the top of the list, which probably says that there needs to be a discussion at AMG about Vader. But 13% of the people ran Boy Vader. So Alex, what ship on here surprised you the most in terms of what you see in here as one of the top ships being ran?
Surprisingly, I mean, I guess it's weird because BB-8, right? 2 points, you can fit him in a lot of lists, but he's in 7% of the list. He's in 20 of the 39 resistance lists. And I wonder what kind of math happened there where it's like the A-Wings came down to 4 points, so that allowed you to trim another point somewhere else to add a whole nother ship. That's what I'm thinking with that BB-8. Because without 4-point A-Wings, it was really hard to like scoot in BB-8 in there for a 2-point ship. So it's kind of surprising that he's in all of those now. I wonder what kind of crazy resistance lists are being flown.
Well, a lot of Poe, I could say that, and Poe Falcon at 7 points. I'm actually surprised Poe isn't up here on this list. Maybe he'll be in the second set of lists that we see. But JJ, what was a surprise on here for you?
Honestly, seeing Dirge from the Separatists being chosen so much, 22 instances for that particular pilot. I think that the last pack here for Hotshots and Aces 2 definitely introduced a lot of great I-5s pilots across the factions that are cheap. But I am definitely surprised to see Dirge being chosen more often than like other pilots like the Flax Tri-Fighters, for instance, or even if you go across into like Juno Eclipse, which is more down towards the bottom of the list, being at I-5 as well. It's just surprising to see Dirge being this popular. It is a very interesting ship that has a high ceiling for performing well if all things go right. But yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Seeing that, I'm not sold that was the right call though, but I do understand why people are putting Dirge in there. I don't feel Dirge is, I don't know, and maybe it's just because Jango can overshadow so much, or Grievous can overshadow so much that you take Dirge and so be it, right? Like we could have ran Dirge in our list, but we didn't, and I don't know. I'm a little surprised by that. I do see Poe Falcon on here, so I was incorrect. It comes in at 6% of the damn list are taking Poe Falcon. So for me, the other kind of bigger surprise is that Finn is not higher. I would think Finn would have been a staple in all resistance lists because I think Finn comes in like kind of an S tier ranking to some extent. He can do almost every scenario but one. And he does not like to die to anything but bombs or extreme concentrated fire.
Yeah, more people took BB-8 than they took Finn.
Yeah, that's surprising. That's huge to me.
Yeah.
Well,
now, Alex, you have another surprise that's driving you nuts.
Oh my god. Okay, so I play a lot of Republic, like a lot, and the new SOC arcs, they're great. They're 4 points. They're fantastic. Jag is incredible. Wolf solid for 4 points. I actually even like Oddball for 5. But someone in one list, there's more wolves than there are Jag. There's 19 wolves and 18 Jag, and that bothers me intrinsically. I don't know why. I think Jag is much better than Wolf. just in general. I don't know why they hurt me.
So whoever is running a list with only one arc in it, somebody is. I want to know who that is. That's up. You could join the show. We'll put you and Alex in a little room, and the two of you can hash it out for 5 minutes. You get 5 minutes. We'll see who throws gloves first, because that would be an interesting conversation. So I'm going to ask Alex, why do you feel Jag is better than Wolf? So let's actually talk about that for a few seconds, just because we got it on the brain, and I think it would be fun.
I will first mention that their list is Stubbs, Sicko, Wolf, Rick, and Contrail, so you're not getting a lot of the Wolf like target locks, born for this ability kind of thing. And that's what makes me even more angry. But I like Jag a lot. In Republic, if you aren't going to run something like a Lat, you need some sort of intrinsic way of getting rerolls. And I think Jag gets that far more consistently. You just have to have someone shoot next to you. You know, it's out the 0 to 2 in his side arcs. If you're not strained, so you can't use Born for this before you get the ability. But, you know, if you have like an I-5, which there's a ton of in Republic, or Anakin, he just gets locks. And that's super useful, especially if you spend your focus token for Born for this. You still have a way of offensively modifying your dice.
That's interesting.
And he's got Sync Council, so you can actually still pass that off if any of your list has Sync Council, or if you have another ship at like 1. So you can like still pass off locks if someone's like shooting before him or something like that, and then just keep reacquiring locks. Wolf does have like the extra reroll off the front and the back. He gets the extra die with the charge and veteran tail gunner. That's real nice. I'm just not a big fan of. I mean, the Q7 astromech does literally nothing for him, other than, I don't know, allows him to be tractor beamed onto rocks.
Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, great.
You know, I hit a rock. I guess I can still lose my action and still not use Q7.
Yeah, I think the larger question. So I see to some extent why you like it more, right? I do get that. I do question though. You know, with it is a different initiative, right? So, I mean, could people just be taking it because of the initiative?
I guess, maybe. I mean, Wolf's a 4, Jag, I believe, is a 3. So it's... there's not a lot of... I don't see a lot of Republic lists with a lot of initiatives at, like, 4. But you get a lot of 3 initiatives with, like, the Z95s. I guess Click is a 4, right? So maybe...
Yep.
The more SOC pilots you put in there, the better he'll get. And Wolf is kind of like self-contained, but I just think Jag's just better in most circumstances, especially if you don't have a Lat.
Yep. If we move down to some of the lower used ones, nothing. I don't know. Nothing really super stands out. Nightfall is being used a little bit more. I'm a little surprised we don't see more Kylo Silencer in here. I would have thought Kylo, especially in this type of an event, Kylo Silencer would have been a pretty big staple in FO. And I'm also a little surprised not to see a Lat higher than this 3% here. I don't see a Lat up here, and I'm a little surprised by that because you can run Sicko, right?
I love Sicko. He's so fun. He's
I don't see another. Yep, I don't see another Lat. So people are trading their Lats in. It looks like, and Sicko and Hawk come in at the 3% mark. So I'm a little. I think that I get the arcs are now 4 points. I do get that, but if you put 2 arcs and let's say Sicko in your list, I mean you immediately now have, the 5 points plus the 8 points. You're at 13 points. You could put Anakin, or you could put 2 other ships in there if you want. And I'm a little, I think it's just weird, I guess. I mean, I'm okay with seeing less Lats and less Jedis in Republic. I do not like the Born for this ability. I think it is BS personally and should be changed. And I don't think it should be in standard play. But anyway, that'll be a whole nother conversation that we could spend 17 hours on.
Yeah.
What pilot's actually very surprising that it's up that high, honestly, for me, is Scum Dirge with 8 in the list. I always thought that.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the Separatist Dirge a lot better, but I don't know what they're doing with Scum Dirge. I mean, you could just take Kanan instead.
Yeah.
For 4
Yeah,
which just seems a
and
lot
Kanan
better.
is very high actually on this.
Yeah, Keenan comes in at number 3 or 4. So, yeah, I agree with you, Alex. I'm a little surprised by that too. I thought that was a little weird. And then, I don't know. We still have an appearance of Cad Bane in Separatist. Who knew? Like, he's still there.
Yeah, it's a great control piece. Just being able to pass off those tokens. It's nice.
I don't know. Anything else that strikes you about the Kyber Cup? I mean, we could. Greg, we're not going to cover your list because that's not your list. That's my list and George's list. So we're not going to cover the list that I chose not to run because I wanted to run something different. But Greg is running Django Grievous, Bombardment Drone, 81, and Iron Assembler with Discord missiles instead of energy shells. But and Count Dooku instead of Notorious. So
solid list.
Yeah, I don't know where he's seen anybody else run that list, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty good. Yeah. Energy shells are for cowards. All right, fair enough. I'm running energy shell in my list, so one energy shell and 1 Discord. There you go. So unless we have anything else for Kyber, I think we can move on. I don't. There's so many teams. I don't even know where to begin. To begin ranking them, right? Like, or talking about them. Like, so I think maybe, okay, fine. Greg's team is 1-0 with Catherine, and who else is on your team, Greg? You have Catherine and Greg and Benjamin.
Yeah.
There you go. So Greg's team, whatever they're called, I'm assuming it's something with Nickel City Cowards are 1-0 in the series. And we are 0-1. And Bespin, are you 0-1 too?
No, we're called the Benchwarmers for a reason, right?
All
we're
right.
also 0-1.
There we go. So there you go. 2 Ewoks and 1 Speeder Deslin. All right. All right, I like that name. That's a lot better than our name. JJ, you need to change our name right now.
I'm not the team captain, buddy.
Oh, that's right. Damn it. Brendan, you need to change our name. So anyway, so we will be covering more Kyber Cup stuff. Since we are in a lull with Nickel City right now, we will be covering. We will be covering more Kyber Cup stuff as it unfolds each week. Probably not as much in depth. It will take me a couple of weeks to get through all the lists on there. And maybe JJ, that's something you could take note of. Maybe what we could do is find some interesting lists that are non-meta, and then watch those lists and see how they track throughout the series. Because I think the big thing here is we can't look at total team wins. We need to actually look at the individual list win. For example, the list you're running, if you win every game, but our team loses every round, then doesn't mean your list is bad. It just means the rest of us don't know how to hold up our end of the bargain. And that's what we get. That's what we get I get for flying a new list with 2 games of practice.
Yeah.
That's my fault. But I'll blame JJ for not being around to joust me more.
Lies.
He's the one that got me off that list, off my normal list too, by the way. It was all him.
No. Okay.
I'm blaming. You get to take all the blame. See. All right. Anyway. All right. So let's do something completely different that we haven't done before, right? So a lot of other podcasts have tried to do ranking systems and different things like this, where they rank pilots and they do these other things. So what we decided to do is say, okay, hey, fine. Let's sit down and let's rank some pilots, but I want to rank them by scenario. So I think one of the big call-outs here, right, is we have a pilot list that is, a pilot that fits into a list that could be really good, but the list is trash, right? And we used to have this effectiveness ranking sheet that Bohan built way back at the beginning of 2.0, and I don't think it was in 1.0. I think this is a 2.0 only spreadsheet he built. And essentially, he took a lot of intricates of how you could add different upgrades and, you know, how your force affected. We're not going to get that fancy into it. But what I want to do is we're going to actually rank a pilot, and then we're going to say based on which scenario this pilot gets for a rating. So, for example, we're going to pick on Grievous, because Grievous is the easiest one I know. We could say we have assault, salvage, scramble, and does chance. And so let's say Grievous does A in 3 and does a D in the bottom one, right? And this is just a pilot average. The ideal would be he's not S tier. I'm gonna flat out say he's not an S tier pilot, Nickel City. But essentially what we want to do is take that and then kind of look at what an average ranking is. And then I have two different ways that we can look at the average ranking, right? So I've averaged the points for him, and then I've also been saying based on total points, he fits into a different category. And I'll get into that here in a few minutes. But essentially, that is what I wanted to do tonight to begin with, is talk a little bit about that. So as you can see here on the screen, our roll call series is going to be ranking pilots based on scenario. The criteria, and then I'm going to go over this, and then we're going to do a couple of examples. But the criteria is we got to look at what is the pilot ability, right? The value, cost, loadout value, the amount of support it needs versus what it provides, the possible loadout for efficiency, and your loadouts based on your different scenarios, right? So essentially, when we look at an S-tier pilot, my belief is an S-tier pilot will say is an auto-include in 90% of the list, right? Would be the same value for the same price in other factions. So, if, again, we'll pick on Grievous. I know we get yelled at for talking too much about Separatists, but if I take Grievous and I move Grievous to other factions, would he be the same price and would he be the same value in all those other factions, right? His pilot ability or initiative will synergize with 3 out of the 4 scenarios. His squad points are too low or just right, right? Would you pay 1 point more for him? Would you say, hey, I'm going to pay an extra point for Grievous and still take him? So if Grievous gets 12 loadout points and then says, oh, hey, Merry Christmas, we're going to now tell you he's 6 points in a faction, would you still take him? And then the same thing with the loadout points. Are his loadout points too high or just right? Right? So if I had Grievous with 50 loadout points, you know, that he could never spend, but if he had 50 loadout points somehow, you know, would that be too much or is he just right? And then we kind of go down from there. So then like an A tier would essentially be an auto-include in 70% of the list. I still feel an A tier needs to synergize with 3 out of the 4 scenarios. I believe you would be considered over 75% of other pilots in the faction, right? So basically, am I going to take this pilot over other ones? Like, if you had to pick between Grievous and what is it, DIS 081?
T81.
Is that T81? Yeah. Which is the upgraded version of 081, I guess, right? Is that's how it is? Anyway, so
Silver edition.
It's the Siege of Coruscant version, basically. Yeah.
So would I take that pilot over 75% of the pilots in the rest of the faction? And then it's kind of the same. Are the squad points correct? Are the loadout points correct? Then you drop down to your B tier and you say, I would take this over 50% of the list, and it must synergize well with at least 2 scenarios. C is 30% of the list and should synergize with 1 scenario. And typically a C could be either a really good fun pilot, like Count Dooku, or it does not have to be part of like a competitive meta, right? Or basically, is my pilot something that is such a niche for what he does, such as if somebody lowered Oddball Y-Wing down to like 4 points, that would be a very niche-y pilot, but would work very well, and that would deserve a higher ranking, right? So something weird or similar to that. A D tier, we would just say it's not an auto-include, but it is fun to play. And an E tier is essentially us saying, screw you, do not play. So, these are an example of kind of how I broke these down. So essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to take the Google sheet that I created, and we're going to say, put whoever ranks it. We'll put a pilot name, the faction it goes in, and then we're going to give it a E through S rating throughout all the different scenarios. Then what it does is it has between a 0 and a 5 points build. So if it's S tier, it's 5 points. If it's E tier, it's 0 points. And then what it does is it gives you a total score. And then it's going to give you a ranking between with some of the sub-step levels in between. And then I'm going to do an average ranking, right? And then kind of rank it based on an average. And say, do these two match? If they do not, why not? So I've talked a lot. Any questions from Alex or from JJ before we begin into this?
No, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, pretty easy.
All right. Well, I felt like I spent a lot of time talking, put a lot of effort into that for you both to just say, "Oh, it's easy, no problem."
That's just how well you did it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
It's a testament.
All right. We'll go there. So the first thing that we're gonna do is I will bring up our actual sheet, and I think this is the actual sheet for it, and we will go ahead and we're gonna get rid of all of these. And we will put in, so we're going to put Alex, JJ, and Tanner. And what we're going to do is we're going to rank each of the different pilots. So I should have put the chassis, but I did not do that because I was not that smart ahead of time. So I'm going to type it in here, and I'll go back and fix it later. So we're going to do Oddball in the Y-Wing. That was the first pilot that Alex gave us.
Too well.
Oh. Did I lose you?
It normally does.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Oh, Oddball, I think, is just a pilot that's a good example of he's not particularly good in anything, and he's kind of really janky, but if you build something around him, he can actually be pretty strong. So he's kind of like a weird... He's not, like, amazing. He's probably C tier in pretty much every category. But, like, if you do it right, he can actually hit above his weight. He's 4 points, which is, I think, a good spot for him. His loadout should be like maybe 1 point more so I can get dedicated on him instead of tier fun, but
no,
that's fine.
No.
I like my oddballs, okay? They're fantastic.
All right. JJ, will you go ahead and bring Y-Wing Oddball up in the Yasby thing? That way we can just have it you can delete that other. There you go.
All right.
So good. We'll put Oddball right here on the screen. Or right over here, wherever the cursor decides it will not stop moving it. All right. Okay, so let's rank it per scenario. So Alex, you are going to give it a solid ranking across every scenario?
Pretty much. I mean, like, Assault, he's just a not particularly maneuverable small base ship. So that seems about average to me, right? For Assault, so that'd be like C tier.
Okay.
I would give him a little bit more than that. I would actually make him a solid B. The reason why I would give him a solid B is that even though he is a Y-Wing, it's still a Initiative 5 Y-Wing that has the potential to be double modded with the correct loadout. And it can, it does have a lot of health between shields and hull, that it can survive a couple of hits and still possibly initiative kill something that's lower than Initiative 5, especially if it's carrying like torpedoes. So I think that this is probably a pretty good solid B, especially coming in at 4 points. It's a great option.
Yep. So I would agree. I'm going to get, for this scenario, I would say, I would agree with JJ and say B. So how about in chance? Are you going to go with the same thing, Alex, a C in chance, or do you feel he does better in chance than...
I think he does better in chance. I give him a B.
Okay.
Because he's kind of a pain to half health. Like he has he has to take 4 damage. He mitigates crits just naturally, and if you do have him, he's 2 points. I mean, he's only a 4-point chip, so he's just kind of a pain.
Yeah.
And with he has 15 points at loadout, so whatever torpedo you put on him, probably like either proton torpedoes or ion torpedoes, that can either hit really well or control something. And being an I-5 with the ion torps, you can actually break locks at other I-5s if you move and shoot first. So that's pretty big.
All right,
Yeah.
JJ, how about you? Same thing?
Yeah, very agree heavily there too. Just getting only 2 points for all the work they have to put into actually having or getting to have points on oddball is really good, and she can punch really hard with torps or be a really good control piece with ions. He is a very underutilized ship for the Republic. I think that he's a solid B.
All right. How about in salvage? Does he want to pick a crate up?
He can pick up a crate because he's only repositioned as a barrel roll. But unfortunately, the barrel roll is a red maneuver, so you can actually get target locks if you barrel roll.
Yeah.
He's also an I-5, and I have arc dodged an embarrassing amount of Boba Fett's with oddball by barrel rolling. But I do use him a lot to pick up crates. So he's probably like a C for me. I mean, he's just average. He's not a very particularly fast ship. And although he does have internal crit mitigation, he still only has 1 agility. So if you have more than 1 crit, or if they re-roll into a crit, or if they have advanced targeting computer, which a ton of Vaders have right now, they're still going to take the crit.
All right.
Yeah.
How about you, JJ? What do you say?
Yeah, I think this is not one of his stronger points. Yes, he has that auto crit mitigation for a single crit for the chassis ability, but I think he's better at having the potential to knock somebody's crate off with like a torpedo, a proton torp, rather than actually holding on to salvage. So you kind of want to get points or like hold on to points in salvage to constantly get those objective points to skew in your favor rather than try to chase points. So for that, I think he falls to a C. All
right. I'm going to give him a D in salvage. I'm going to go even worse, as in I would say I really don't think salvage, he contributes to salvage almost at all individually. I think you can pick other crates up in salvage, right? And this is kind of where this gets muddy, because you could technically use him to not have to pick up a crate. But I think if we looked at that scenario overall, I think he ranks out of everything in Republic. Like, I think the lad is the only one I would say is worse than salvage. And that's just because the lad, I mean, I don't know. I'm giving him a D and going on from there. So, how about scramble?
The weird thing for salvage in Republic is there's not a lot of ships that you
want to pick up crates with.
Yeah, it's like your ARCs or your LATs, maybe some Z95. So it's not like you don't have a lot of options there.
How about scramble?
Scramble. He is an I-5, which is good for taking back a satellite if they capture it early on. But actions, he's not like he's self-sufficient. Like, you'd have to give him another action somehow. So it's probably just like a solid C. I mean, the I-5 is bonus points, but that's about it. I think he's just straight average in that.
All right, JJ?
Yeah, I agree. Even with the loadout that he has for like a gunner, the only thing I can think of is Ahsoka gunner, but that's going to take away his ability to perform an action. The only thing he has going for him is going to be just the I-5 to unscramble an objective. And beyond that, he's pretty average, if not below average, because it actually takes away from his ability to get that red target lock if he needs to, either going through the red barrel roll, which you're going to need to do the action. So I think that he probably falls to the C as well on this one.
All right. So I gave him a C ranking, similar reasons. So essentially, if we take the total score, he ranks between a C and a C minus. And if we look at kind of on an average, he comes in at a C plus to a B minus. So, Alex, you chose a ship for your list that you ranked lower than JJ. Look at that. Not by much, but by a little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
He's got some intangibles in there that's not represented off of these that I think is pretty important, though.
Yeah.
That bump into the red focus, into the target lock of whatever ship you bumped into, or any other ship past that you happen to bullseye is super, super good.
But
But
I think that's
I do have a question. I do have a
Yep.
question on that though, specifically. So, when you fly that oddball, do you intentionally go for that focus bump, or is it just it happens naturally as a result of after the initial scrum?
A lot of it kind of depends on where my other ships are, because I run a list with a lot of sync council stuff, but I do try to intentionally bump him a lot
Okay.
because it lessens the amount of attacks coming in. And if he already got off both of his proton torpedoes, or if he doesn't have a good shot with that, it's still I can shoot range 0, pass off that target lock somewhere else that's useful. So it really depends. A lot of the time, I just intentionally ram into people, and I'm very
Yeah.
hurt by AMG that they lowered or that they bumped up R4 to 3 points, because
Yeah.
that really hurt
I agree.
a lot. Because their blues are only 1-2 straight. It's not like it's clearing a lot.
I'm happy
Yeah.
they did, so you cannot continue to bump focus, for
That
Christ's
was
sake.
so good.
I hated it. I hated when you did it to me. Like, oh, I'm happy I got a bump. Oh, you get a. All right.
Thanks.
Yep. You get to pass your target lock off. Oh, F you. It's a good thing I got rid of your Obi-Wan right away. That's all I'm
That was
saying.
remarkably inappropriate on your behalf. Shouldn't have
Just
died pre-obstructed to Grievous.
Hey,
Took the structural.
he only had 1 health left. So let's be fair. Grievous can do work. So, all right, JJ, you get the next pilot. What pilot would you like to talk about?
Let's see. Let's go with the Rebellion, actually. I want to take a look at Thane Kyrell in the T-65 X-Wing, and I'll actually pull up his card here. All right, so there we go. So Thane, if you're not familiar with him, he's an I-5 pilot here for the Rebellion.
All right, go ahead, JJ.
Reads, while you perform an attack, you may spend a focus hit or crit result to look at the defender's face-down damage cards, choose one, and expose it. He is 4 points currently right now for the T-65 X-Wing for the Rebels. I think this is a very underutilized pilot. I know that he probably is more like a filler right now for the Rebellion, just being that I-5 that can probably do some work there. It has space for like a plasma torpedo on here. But his ability is actually something that worked really, really well as a control piece, especially when you're attacking high health ships, like your fire sprays or your decimators or your YV666. Being able to spend that result, especially if you have no focus token, to spend a focus to flip one of those cards face up is huge. I can't tell you how many times I've been able to
Oh no, I think we lost JJ's to his internet.
Did you lose me?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, so just having that ability to being able to flip over like a direct hit or structural damage before damage the defense dice are rolled is really, really strong.
All right. So Alex, we'll start with you. What do you feel your ranking is in Assault?
So
Or
Thane,
you could give it to all 4 if you want, and just give me each one of them and a little bit about it too. That's fine. Well,
so Thane is 5 points in the cost, and I think that's like why he's so underplayed, because you have other 5-point X-wing ships in there or if you are going to bring a 4-point X-wing, we saw that with the Vader thing. You cut out a point, it offers up other possibilities that are pretty strong, and it's hard to justify taking Thane over like Wes Jansen, who I like a lot. But in Assault, I mean, he is a pain. He is a 5. I mean, he's still a T7, like he's still a T65, like he's a solid ship. And I5, I'd say B for Assault. I think that's a pretty solid. Same with Chance, I would probably say is a B as well. Just because he has 14 points of loadout, that's pretty generous, and ability, that's not bad. There's been many a times where one of my buddies would play Thane all the time, and he would flip over like a fuel leak, shooting a proton torpedo, and that was very, very devastating. Or just keep flipping over panic pilots after panic pilot.
That's the one I like.
That sucks so much.
Or my personal favorite was over the regulator, and then they engage, and they have to break their lock or do an IM maneuver after. Yeah, those are great.
That's disgusting. In Salvage, I think I'd just give them a C. That's pretty average, right? It's the same thing for Oddball, They just have a barrel roll. They're kind of sturdy. And for Scramble, he's an I5. I give him a C. Pretty much the same as Oddball. I think that's... yeah.
All right. JJ, what about you?
For Assault, I think he's just a little bit higher than average, just because that value allows him to be that I5 that potentially an Alpha Striker and still control a location. So I think that he's definitely a B for Assault. In Chance engagement, you have him, you're only getting 2 points, 3 if you manage to kill him, but it's still T65. That's going to be hard to take off the board. Definitely giving him a B for that there. Salvage is tricky. Yes, he can take torpedoes that can help him hunt, but again, we're running to the same situation like Y-Wing Oddball, where he innately is not going to be effective when carrying a cargo crate because he has no way to mitigate or reposition and stuff. So I've been giving him a C for that. In Scramble, however, I think that's where he shines because he can still take his action to scramble something. And if he happens to roll a focus against a ship that has damage, he can flip that up easily. You're not going to be spending that focus or be able to convert that focus anyway. So his ability actually shines there for taking the action to scramble and then using his ability to potentially flip something. So I'll actually give him a B for that.
All right. So for me, I think I think when I go back and look at my rankings and I say, is he good at 2 of the 3 scenario or 2 out of the 4 scenarios? Is he going to be taken in 50% of more of lists? Is he considered to be better than 50% of the other pilots? I actually rate him very low, right? And I think it's because you have to spend the result to be able to use his ability. So it's a little bit more niche and only works once you go through it. On the opposite side, he has the ability to be a deterrent. So if you don't kill Thane and you leave Thane till the end, you now are going to be 100% at risk of his ability just going off all the time, especially if he knows what you have. Like if you take a panic pilot or a disabled regulator, he already knows that. And depending on how many cards you have, he can be very aggressive about it. So for me, to me in Assault, I'm going to give him a C. I don't think I just don't see him being taken over a lot of the other pilots. I would give him a B for Chance. For Salvage, I would actually give him a D because I do not think he contributes to Salvage in any way, shape, or form. And I will give him a C for Scramble. While again, I get his ability works very well, I really just genuinely do not think that this pilot... I do not think this is one of those pilots that's over or underrated. How about that? Personally. So it looks like the two of you are closer in agreement. I feel he's between a D plus and a C, and you guys feel that he's between a C and a B minus.
Yeah,
fair?
That sounds about right.
That sounds fair.
All right. I like my ranking better. I think, how about this? My ranking seems to be a little bit more fair across the board for who's taking him. I haven't seen JJ put Thane in a damn list to save his life. So, just saying.
He's taken me to a top table in a regional event. So
Wait, what, 1.0?
He's good.
1.0? Early 2.0?
No, 2.0. 2.0. Yeah.
All right. Does that mean I get to pick a pilot, or do we let the guest pick a second pilot?
You do it, man.
You sure? You know, we could let the guest pick another pilot. We could do both. We probably could do both. We could do as many as we want. You can go ahead and kill Thane on the screen, JJ.
All right.
I don't know. Do I have to pick something outside of Separatists? Like, technically, I probably should, right? So, all right. So I'm going to pick something outside of Separatists. Man, you guys are... Ooh. I'm going to pick Afra. How about that? Am I allowed to do that?
Yes. I actually wanted you to do that.
All right. Well, okay, cool. So for me, Afra comes in with 6 points, right? And then Afra has 22 loadout. Is that what it is, JJ? It's 22 loadout, I think.
All right.
Yeah, it's 22. It's a disgusting amount.
Yes. So Afra has an insanely high loadout. The only thing I think Afra doesn't have is a talent slot. Afra does not come in with a talent slot. I think that's the one slot that they're missing, correct?
Correct. But it has 2 of
Yes, that's correct.
Which is terrifying.
And also does not show up in Yasby. So
okay. So for me, when I look at Afra, I look at when we talk about 6-point ships in Scum, I feel Afra is a heavy contender. Her negatives, right, are that she's an I3, she doesn't have a talent. Positives are she has 22 loadout, and she has a really fun ability that basically says, if you are not stressed, we will stress you. That is how that works. And based on some of the other upgrades, the pilot or not the crew cards she could take and the gunners she could take, she can be a stress monster inside of Scum. When I look at overall and I say, hey, between her and Dengar, you know, I sit there and say, well, there's a whole 1 point difference. And I feel in Scum that 1 point is actually a million times more precious than the majority of other factions. And that's because, in my opinion, Scum is the worst balanced faction in X-Wing right now. That just hands down. And I understand why it is. Scum is a very hard faction, I think, to balance. But I feel that that is partially why it is. So, when we talk about where she falls, am I going to take her in, you know, like over 90% of lists? Probably not. I'm probably going to take Boba. That's where Boba falls, right? You know, is she an A tier? Am I going to take her in 70% of the list? Like right now, personally, based on all the other loadout and what surrounds her, I feel in Assault, she's an easy A. I feel if that was the only scenario that we were playing, hands down, I would be taking Afra all the time, especially because Gamut Key exists, and because Gamut Key can just say, here, keep your reinforced token, and then now you get to be modded, or you could take overtune modulators and contraband and keep your reinforced. So, I'm going to stop reinforce and I'm going to have calculates, and I only got 1 agility anyway, so if I don't use all my calculates, what do I care? I could take Zam. I could take Zam on her and I like still have 11 points. This is insane. That's just crazy to me. So to me, with Assault, the way that the scenarios work, you can set your little triangle up and you can guarantee that she can capture 2 points at minimum for 3 turns in a row. I would dare say if you do it correctly, you could actually capture 9 points with her for 3 turns if you do it correctly. With Chance, I am very negative about that. I feel in Chance that she struggles a lot harder, but she's only 6 points. So when you half point her, I really feel that you're getting 3 points and you're investing a lot of effort into it, especially with my ability to take calculates and take reinforce. So for the half points piece of it, I think in Chance she's a B. I will give her a D though in salvage because there's no way you should be picking a crate up, and I don't feel Scum has enough ability to surround everything with her. So I have a harder time, I think, with her in salvage. But again, in scramble, I'm gonna go back and say to me it's an easy B. For the pure fact that I feel she excels at being able to overtune modulate, stop, scramble, and still get shots. I don't know. So that's my take. Alex, you're up next.
So Scum's kind of weird, as he said. It's not terribly bad. It's hard to just get a 6-point ship in Scum when a lot of the 7-point ones are really good, and a lot of the math when your building list doesn't allow for like 6-point ships. It's kind of strange, and she has to contend with things like Han Solo and like Q9. But I don't think she's a bad pickup at all. She isn't actually a fair amount. It's like 8 Scum lists in Kyber right now out of the 43. So it'd be interesting to see how those do. For Assault, yeah, I'd probably give her an A, just because she has a large base ship. She does have a stop. And she's got that 180-degree arc coverage, which is pretty important in a lot of the scenarios. I give her a B in chance. She has a YV. She can hit. She does have the ability to get a lot of mods, especially if you have something like Zam on her. She can do a lot. My only thing is that YVs, under concentrated fire, they can die pretty fast. Salvage, yeah, I'll say she's a D because she is a large base ship and is easy to target. 1 agility. It's like a D- almost. I don't know.
We're gonna say D. You can say D or E. You don't get the minus.
I know.
Sorry.
That's why I said I started off with a D. I'll keep the D.
All right.
And Scramble, I'll give her a C. I think she's an I3, right? So she can get the satellite stolen out from her higher initiative pilots. A little bit risky, though, because of the 180-degree arc. And just because she's... If you don't have something like Overtuned, or if you already used it, she doesn't have extra actions or things like that to mitigate the action she's taking for Scramble. And also being 6 points, that's a big chunk of your list, so you probably don't have a lot of other ships for Scramble.
Yeah. All right, JJ.
Yeah, I definitely agree with a lot of what you're saying about her. She does have a high ceiling for potential for being that control piece in there, especially when you consider all the different crew slots they have on there. So for Assault being a big base ship that has a 180-degree arc, I think that Afra is actually a very solid A at Initiative 3 when you're attacking. Most of the time, the ships that you're choosing as your target don't have mods. So Initiative 3 being able to have that potential for attacking somebody and still controlling those, I think she's actually an A for that. When it comes down to salvage, that's a little tough. I definitely think she suffers there. She doesn't. I mean, you could potentially have BT1 gunner to help give that crit and shoot at Initiative 3 and potentially knock that crate out at I3. But as far as contributing for it, you're a 1 agility ship, and you're most likely using your action to get a reinforce or extra mods for offense. So you're definitely probably not the best crate carrier. Needs extra help to really be effective that way. So I say that's probably a D. When it comes to chance engagement, again, big base ship. Being able to control the pieces in there and still maintain its value for its points. I'd say it's a solid B there. And then for Scramble, Contraband Cybernetics or a coordinator definitely helps the ship a lot. But of course, the ranking is just for what the ship can do by itself. I think the ability to have the ability to carry both Contraband Cybernetics as well as Jabba the Hutt crew to keep those Contraband Cybernetic charges.
You can't do that.
It doesn't work like that anymore. They errated Contraband, so you can't recharge it.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you're right. I'm thinking Babu Frick, not Contraband.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
There you go.
But yeah, Babu Frick and Jabba the Hutt on the same ship to be able to do that over and over. It's really solid, and it pretty much gets around the need for that extra coordinating ship to help get that that there. So I'd say that it's a solid B for Scramble.
All right. So we all came in with basically C plus to B minus. So I think we're all pretty similar on those. All right. So I like this. Can we keep going with this, JJ? I don't know. I'm enjoying this quite a bit.
Sure, we can make this our main segment for today. Sure.
I enjoy this. I don't know, Alex. Are you enjoying this?
Yeah.
Is this
I
something
love
you're
stuff
enjoying?
like this. This is
Okay.
incredible.
Yeah, I do too.
All right. So we're gonna keep going with this, and we'll kind of go based on time and see how much time we have left. If we don't get to our other series, I apologize. I do this all the time. If you listen, if you're new to the show, accept my apology is sincere. If you've been here for a while, you should know this is a habit of Tanner's, and
Par for course.
I've done this more times than that. So, but we'll see. Depending on how long we want to go to tonight, will depend on that. But I'm really having fun. I really enjoy this piece of it. So, the next one that we're going to cover is submitted by Alex. Oh my god! All right, we're doing Obi-Wan, and is it Delta 7?
Yeah, a must-have for pretty much every Republic list.
So not the B version.
Yep, the old CLT Obi.
All right, go ahead and let's start breaking it down. Go ahead, Alex. You get this one. This one's yours. So,
I think he's fantastic for assault for as much as like a small base can be, just because he can do the double reposition to get into range for the assault, or just a reposition and a focus action is pretty huge. And with his ability, he has like 4 focuses if he even gets shot that much, So I think for assault, that's pretty strong. I'd give him an A. For chance, it kind of depends on how you build it out. But he can hit really, really hard if you're good at lining up the CLT shots. He hits harder if you have a 7 fleet gunner, because that's just up rocket, essentially. And just, again, with the regenerating force, to regenerate all the focus tokens, it's very, very good. He's still 3 agility behind a force. If you're getting shot at, you could just take the purple evade. You got 2 other force behind it. And if you half him, you get 2 points. So I'm going to go probably with an A as well for chance. Only because if you don't have him bullseyed, you might not get a lot of damage out of him. So it'd be A for assault, A for chance. In salvage, he is absolutely terrible. You do not want to pick up a crate with Obi-Wan. It defeats the entire purpose of the chassis ability. And it's just tragic. I have picked up crates with Aether Sprites before. I've had one salvage game where only I scored points off crates on Aether Sprites. I would not recommend that. So probably a D.
Okay.
And the last one, not assault, the satellite.
Scramble.
Called Scrambled. Yes, I play this game. They're Jedi. They can reposition into Scramble and then do that action, and you could do that action and still have force left. I think it would be an S tier and that kind of stuff. He is an I5, so the only thing taken out other one is same initiative I5 or higher. And if you do that, I mean, so be it. I think he's an S tier in Scramble.
All right. JJ will give you next bid. How about that? And JJ disappeared. So it's going to be me, the next bid. All right. So I will agree with you on Salt. I feel A tier is easy peasy. I feel the same thing with Chance. I think at Chance, for the most part, he's not really losing a lot of stuff, and he's only worth what the 5 points or whatever. is so it's kind of inconsequential, I guess, to me. I'll be actually a little bit more. I will be a little bit more gracious than you were. I will say, even in salvage, I think he's a C. I think he can pick up a crate in his ability if that's what he wants to do. I have seen an OB pick up a crate at the end of the game and run away. Pick up a crate in 5 straight and pick up a crate and, you know, like, too hard and just basically you have 3 force. And then I will also give him an S tier in Scramble. I agree with you. I really think I think overall he's just he's just one of the best pilots for the value. At 5 points.
Yeah, I do have to agree with that. For me, in assaults and chance, Obi-Wan is an A. Whether he is just using the force for himself to defend himself or to keep focuses on himself, he is a very, very solid piece. The CLT upgrade for this chassis pairs very, very well with Obi-Wan because that pretty much adds on that additional hit for you to get in when you get that bullseye lined up very well, and especially when you add in the reposition, they can add linked into your focus action. Very, very strong for assault and chance there. Salvage, I actually think he is worth a B, and the reason being for it is that he's one of the very few pilots that has 3 force, so he can be an elusive crate carrier. He loses that reposition ability, but he still always has those mods to help him defensively with 3 agility as well. If you manage to spend a force to get an evade token with 2 force left over, that still makes him a very, very hard target to pin down with salvage to get those crates off. And then you have to worry about the rest of the list as well, right? Coming after you for chasing down Obi-Wan there. And then in Scramble, again, he's top tier. I would definitely say S tier as well. Being able to get the reposition and do the Scramble action and still have 3 force, or 2 force, I should say, is very, very solid. Very, very few ships can do that. And for 5 points, solid. Very good.
All right, so your assault and your chance were A's?
Yes.
All right.
I would also like to point out that I use his ability a lot as like a support piece, which is probably a little counterintuitive to how a lot of people play Obi-Wan. But if you have something with like a procket, you can still spend your focus on defense and just regenerate it.
Mm-hmm.
The arcs like Jag and Wolf, they can spend their locks or whatever, spend the focus on offense, and then still have it for defense. You can regenerate that back. Or due to some sort of weird Born for this shenanigans, you can just spawn a focus token on someone, which is hilarious because you spend their focus token as if they were spending it for Born for this. So you like transfer a token over with Obi-Wan. It's really janky, but it's super cool.
Yeah.
All right. So he comes in essentially between A- and an A. So that's pretty solid. I think that's pretty solid ranking for him. JJ, what's your next pilot? And all right, so hold on a second. So I'm going to stop it just real quick, just because I can do this. If you are watching or listening to this and you would like to contribute and give your pilot, and if you want to give a ranking for each of them, you can do that. Since we've given all the parameters for this, what I would expect is that you go, hey, post it in our Discord, put the pilot, make sure you give us a ship, just in case they have multiple chassis. Give me the pilot and the ship chassis, and then give me your rankings for all of them, and we'll cover them. We'll add your name to the doc. You can join in and be a part of this whole Hufflebaloo, and maybe someday, maybe this will get published. Who knows? Maybe people will like it that much. I don't know. All right. Anyway, but if you do want to be part of future segments where we don't spend 40 minutes doing this and we only do 1 or 2 an episode, submit them and we'll add them to our docket for ones that we'll cover in future episodes. JJ, you're next. What's your pilot of choice?
So I'm going over to the Galactic Empire. I'm going for one of the new pilots that we got in the Hot Shots and Aces 2 pack. It is Magna Tolvin in the TIE Fighter. Unfortunately, not on Yasby, the overlay right now. But if you're not familiar with that particular pilot, it is an Initiative 3 pilot, TIE Fighter. The ability reads, while you have 2 or fewer stress tokens, you can perform white actions even while stressed. After you gain a stress token, you may perform a white action if able. This has been a ship that I've been experimenting with recently in my Empire list. It is very, very good. Just the action efficiency for this particular ship is fantastic, especially when you add in Squad Leader. It is a great ship to help coordinate your list, and it's a very solid piece for objective grabbing as well. Now for assault, you have to basically load out that particular ship in order to make it offensive. It does have enough points to have squad leader and like HLC, for instance, and if you're able to line that up, it can be a 4-die attack. However, at Initiative 3, that is a little harder to do unless you're doing it against a medium or large base. I would give it a C for that because it doesn't contribute other than just going in and just try to grab something. It's there mostly to give the rest of your ship actions, and it could still grab a token itself. Not that much better. But when it comes to chance engagement, you have points to the ship. You're getting 1 point in return, and you're probably giving everybody else around you actions that it's going to need to take out ships. It's very, very solid. I would actually probably give it a. I'm teetering on an A, but I want to say a B just because it's still a 2-die gun. For salvage, this is an A easy. It may be even S because you can grab us. You can coordinate somebody with squad leader and then perform the white action to grab a crate. So that is excellent. It's really great.
Oh,
Same thing with salvage.
Are you sure you can do that?
Yes, you
I
can.
don't.
It is a white action.
Yeah, but it's not on your action bar. You can only perform the scenario
the event
actions.
Right. So during your activation phase, you can use squad leader to coordinate a separate ship. Right. They can do a focus or evade or barrel roll, and then after you perform that, you're allowed to perform a white action with Magda's ability, which the scenario action is a white action. So you can scramble off of that. Same thing with salvage. Or sorry, scramble, not salvage.
All right. I think somebody should challenge that. I want to hear AMG's ruling on that. You should post that in AMG thing, JJ, just to make sure. That's interesting. I did not know you could do that.
Yeah. And Desi, adding in saying S tier and salvage, if you could take the Breed Gambit instead of squad leader, that's actually really good, really spicy. I like that.
All right. So what is your overall? You what did you have in assault, JJ?
Assault, I had it as C. Chance, I had it as B, and then salvage and scramble as A.
All right, Alex.
Oh man. Okay, so I love this TIE Fighter. Magna is super, super cool. The fact that you can do something like a 4K and get like a focus evade is incredible to me. I love that. For assault, I mean, you're probably running squad leader and HLC. If you can line up the HLC shots, she's really good. I think I would go with the B, only because you're facilitating other parts of your list to do better in assault. Like you can do a squad leader to give someone a reposition to get into the assault area, or do it to like art dodge something. So I would say B, just because she can contribute more than to her team than just necessarily just being by an objective and taking like an evade action, which she can do. She just also gives someone else an action, which is awesome. For chance, I mean, it's the same logic. I'd say a B. You do facilitate other things in your list. You do have the problem, kind of like with Night Beast, where it's like, well, now she's like focus evaded if she did like a a 4K or something, or ran through a debris. And if you half health her, she's 1 point. And that just is sad. For salvage, I believe she would be an A. I mean, just when you have that crate, you can coordinate someone, get an evade action. You can do the 4K with the crate, or the 3K with the crate, and still get a focus evade. Stays in the battle pretty well. And scramble, I mean, she's a 3, so when you do take that action, there's a good chance that other people can go over it. So I wouldn't say like an A tier, but I say the B, just because she can do the coordinate shenanigans and all that kind of stuff. I think she's a very solid piece. It just sucks that there's other 3-point TIE fighters that you'd probably take over her.
All right. How about for Chance? What'd you have at Chance?
I believe that was a B as well.
All right. So for me, I feel she's actually more of an A for Assault. And I say that because I feel that her ability, because all you have to do is be by the objectives. You coordinate at range up to range 2, right? So she has the ability to just stay around an objective and then hop to the next one. So, again, I get other big base ships could counter her, but if you just look at her in a solid little form, that's kind of where I see her being. I also would give her an A in Chance because she's worth 3 points. If you really want to invest your life into killing her, Merry Christmas. Go ahead. It's not as it's to me like an Iden is better at Chance, but Iden just cancels a whole round of damage, and it kind of like Countdown does. So I don't know. I would actually be less forgiving on salvage. I actually would give her a C in salvage, purely for the fact of you only get the 3 green dice. You cannot be focus evaded with her. You can only either be evaded or focused, so you don't have that double mod. If you pick up that crate, you could pick up the crate, but you're gonna lose it. And that's kind of how I see that. Whereas I would go back to Scramble and say I feel she's an A. I will take Desi. I will say if we look at salvage, and if you take the breed candidate, would it change our opinion a little bit? What is the breed gambit coming at?
So, 6 points.
This is also 6 points. Yeah.
So the reason why he's mentioning debris gambit for salvage is that if you're not at range 1 of debris, you can take a red focus, which will now give you a stress to help you perform a focus. So now you're focus evaded while you have a salvage crate. So that's the combo there. Yeah.
So I guess in that niche scenario, I would rate it higher in salvage then. But I feel that ship just dies to some extent in salvage. But outside of that, I feel that ship is really good. I will say if that ship had 2 more loadout or better slots, it would be a little bit different of a conversation. I feel that ship, if you give that ship 2 to 4 more points of loadout, you make that pretty much an S tier ship. If you get rid of the stupid cannon and give her a missile slot instead, I would immediately say that, because you would need 1 more point of loadout and a missile slot, and you could take clusters, you could take magpults, you could take all these other things, and that's where I think she would shine into that S tier from there. So, all right, shall we do? Let's do at least one more ship, shall we? What faction? I'll tell you what. I will pick the ship. The 2 of you have to come up with a faction for me to pick the ship out of. How about one faction we haven't done yet?
First Order.
That or Resistance. Your choice.
No, you guys have to. You have to be in unison. Which ones you want? I'm only doing
for
one.
Me.
Huh?
Do FO. FO's solid.
All right. So let's do FO. Oh, you know what? My favorite ship in FO is the BA. And I'm going to pick Ember. So can you bring Ember up on the screen? Maybe he can. Maybe he can't. He might not know how to do that.
It's weird.
It might be too late in the night for him to be able to do that.
I just made a list with them
I got
earlier today.
All right.
Thinking about it.
So Ember comes in at 4 squad points. Ember's an I4. Ember has 7 loadout points, which I don't like. I think it's a very low churn out there. That's Obi-Wan, not Ember.
Close.
No.
There you go. Now I got it. You had Obi-Wan on there for a second.
That's right. Okay.
Ember has 2 talents, 1 tech, 1 missile, and 1 mod slot. So for me, Ember, I don't know. Ember is kind of the quintessential, I don't know. It's the first pilot I ever loved in First Order. Once I bought BAs. I love BAs. I used to run Kylo Silencer with 3 BAs. And I think you had, 3 or 4 points you could play with? That was it. But that was fun. I own 4 BAs. I don't know why, but I do. I own 4 BAs. I don't know if it's just the style of the ship, the colors. I don't know. I really need to get rid of some of my hero stuff because I just love flying this ship. So Ember essentially is, while you perform an attack, if there is a damaged ship friendly to the defender at range 0 to 1 of the defender cannot spend focus or calculate tokens. For me, Ember being 4 point, or only 4 points, you can trade her easily, in my opinion, and get extreme value out of her. So for me, I give her an A in Assault. I feel Ember has the ability to go into Assault. She's going to take that. She's always going to have actions. She can move from one objective to another objective without almost any issues, and can continually get you those points in objectives. Now, for Chance, I think it kind of depends a little bit on your loadout, right? For me, I'm probably putting Pattern Analyzer on her. I really like Pattern Analyzer on her, but there's a lot of other things you could put. Advanced Optics, Prime Thrusters is really good. She has 2 talent slots, so you could be very defensive and put like an Elusive and a Proud Tradition on her. I mean, there's just she has so many amazing things you can do with that. You could really be pushy and take a target synchronizer if you wanted, and in there with it. That seems a little silly, but you could do that. But Precision Ions, I don't think, Precision Ions doesn't do anything for her, if I remember right. Yeah. So you wouldn't take that. But anyway, so for me in Chance, because you cannot buy a shield upgrade anymore, for me in Chance, she's really a C. She's a good trade piece, but it's really hard to not lose her to concentrated fire. So her ability will not get off yet. All right, Deslin will do Grievous next. That's fine. We'll do Grievous. We'll do Grievous for you and Greg. In Salvage, I give her a D because she is not picking up a crate ever, unless she's running away. And I'll be honest with you, that's a decent strategy, right? You could pick up a crate and run away. She is very fast. All right, I just talked myself into a C with her. At 4 points, I think that's pretty good. It's not as good as a 2 or 3 point TIE fighter, but she does have a little bit more survivability once she gets that crate and can run away with it. And with Scramble, I'm giving her a B for the pure fact that she can still take that action. She can execute her maneuver to get her target locked for the deplete or a strain for the barrel roll. She can do those different things before she actually has to take the scramble action. And because it's not a stress, you can still coordinate her. At an I4, you can still coordinate, so you can still use Gideon or Malorus at an I5. I guess you could use Terex if you really want to be silly about it. But you could use a Zai shuttle to coordinate her as well, and she could pick up, or she could scramble that. And in an I4, I feel that's actually pretty decent, because at an I4, if you're going to come in as a 5 or a 6, you're now relying on only native mods once you scramble for the most part. So there you go. So that's where I rate Ember. JJ, you're next.
Yeah, definitely. Emperor is a very solid ship. Just the chassis itself, I agree with you. The BA Interceptor is just fantastic. Just being able to take that strain to deplete, depending on the situation, to get that barrel roll or target lock action. For Assault and Chance, I think Ember is a solid B. The reason why I didn't put it at A is because, again, that loadout is just holding Ember back. Having a higher loadout will be probably more beneficial to get better loadout, or sorry, better upgrades on Ember to make it more effective. You basically have to make a choice between like Juke if you really want to take advantage of Ember's ability, or go for like Pattern Analyzer, Fanatical for those sloops. For Salvage, it does suffer there. It does need to sacrifice its reposition, which Ember really does want to do in order to arc dodge. It does only have 4 health. However, it still could do the target lock and do a salvage action to grab a crate if it does need to. So that does put it up more than the average fighter. So I would actually give it here. I want to say a B, but I think it's still a C, honestly, with that. For Scramble, excellent fighter. You can take that target lock or reposition into a scramble action, which makes it very, very effective. And you just basically suffer a deplete if you just want to make sure you don't get killed very easily. So I think that's actually a very good offensive piece there for Scramble. I would give that actually an A.
Ooh, spicy. All right, Alex, you're next.
So I love Ember, like as a 4-piece in FO, super good. It fits into a lot of things. You can do like Quick Draw, Phasma, Ember, DT, and Scorch, for example, like as a list, which just seems terrifying. I like her a lot. I would actually give her an A for Assault, but for the reverse reason that Tanner gave, where you said that she can run away and get other objectives. I think she's very good because she can do the blue one hard and stay on the same objective.
All right, that's
for
fair.
Assault.
That's fine. That's
one
fair.
hard barrel roll, get another action. One hard barrel roll, get another action. Super good. And also in Assault, you're more likely to have ships more clustered together, and that will trigger her ability a lot more. So I really like her in Assault. So I would definitely give her an A for that.
Okay.
In Chance, I'd still say a B, because you can do a target lock focus if you're not getting shot at. Her ability may come into play. It's just a solid 3 agility ship, right? With the ability to evade and still have like a target lock or do a reposition or double reposition even. So I think it's pretty maneuverable. Salvage, yeah, I would probably say a C. I mean, you can put a crate. That's fine. You have an evade action. It just sucks that you can't use the fine-tuned thrusters or whatever that is for the barrel roll. Kind of gims the ship a little bit more than I like. And for Scramble, I would give it B. I think being I4 is solid, but it can hurt it, especially if someone's near you. You don't really want to. Are you going to take the deplete and then you're shooting 3 dice at range 1? Or are you going to take the strain and you're getting hit really hard at range 1 if you're both by the scramble point? It's a little bit iffy on that. But at 4 points, it's a really solid filler piece. I like her a lot.
Yeah, I agree with you. So we came out between a B- and a B. Essentially, I rated her lower, I guess, than you all did. So there you go. So we're gonna do Grievous, and we are gonna do one more. I'm gonna do Resistance too. So JJ will give JJ the last Resistance. And Alex, I hope you can stick around for a few more minutes. I promise we'll be done before 11 o'clock.
That's fine.
I know you like your beauty sleep, but I've had fun. I don't know. I'm having fun tonight. I'm having a lot of fun tonight. It feels therapeutic for me to some extent. How about that? Especially after losing with my Afflex, which I did not want to rate on here so that I would feel bad for the rest of the tournament. So we're not going to rate Afflex, by the way, at all for the rest of the Kyber tournament.
Maybe you'll turn your luck around if you do rate them.
Nope. All right. So I'm gonna kick it off with Grievous. No, you know what? I'm not going to. I'm gonna go ahead and let Alex kick it off with Grievous. That's what I'm gonna do. Since I always fly Separatists. So go ahead.
When I
Alex.
fly Separatists, I put in Grievous.
No, when you have to fly against Separatists, which is all the time.
Mm-hmm. It's always against Grievous. Assault. Oh man, I would say an A, just because I don't think S tier is exactly where Grievous should be, because there's certain positions he wants to, outmaneuver, flanked people, so you generally might not be an objective around there when you are flanking like that. But you don't want to get flanked by him. So even if you can probably sacrifice getting a point to just get a really good Grievous shot, which is disgusting. So I'd put A for Grievous on Assault. I would put Grievous as an S tier for Chance, because I have no arguments why you wouldn't. You have like 7 health.
7 health, yeah.
7 health. You get rerolls when they're flanking you. You hit
you
harder.
get pervium plating, blah blah blah.
You mitigate crits. You do. If you have health Grievous, it's 2 points, which is like nothing for the amount of effort you have to put into killing Grievous. He's pound for pound one of the best ships, period. So, Salvage, honestly, probably a C. That boost and barrel roll link into a focus. Maybe I play differently than you guys, but I use that a lot. And I like that reposition. Although he does have that.
You're going 2 or 3. That's it. Afterwards. Or you're not taking an action. One of the two.
Yeah. And then Scramble. Probably like a B. I mean, he still has his ability, so if you're flanking someone, you can still pick up the action. You know what? I'll give him a C, actually. He's a 4, and he doesn't want to be by those objectives, unless he's flanking other people. He's not going to pick up objectives. He'd rather just hit harder with like a focus, like a barrel roll reposition focus, than to pick up the objective, in my mind. But
all right. JJ, I'll let you go next. I'm going to let you go next, and I'll be the surprise. I'm going to be the surprise cat here.
To completely misquote Nickel City, Grievous is the most cowardly pilot in all of Star Wars. He doesn't want to face you head on. He'll run away and then come around to shoot you in the back, and that's where he shines the best. But that makes him very effective, right? Because he's a threat unto himself. You either have to pay attention to Grievous and try to focus fire on that ship, or he's going to get you in the back. And that's what makes Grievous the most dangerous pilot with his ability. So when it comes to Assault and Chance, he's usually the ship that you're going to go send into the enemy forces, because they either have to divert forces to take care of Grievous, or they're going to ignore him, which actually makes Grievous effective in that way in diverting attention away from the other more clustered objective points in there. So for that, I actually think Grievous is an A. For Chance engagement as well, that impervium plating with Soulless One, it is incredibly difficult to eliminate Grievous, and that makes him retain his points. Just having those 2 upgrades alone for Grievous, that makes him an A tier easy as well. For Salvage, unfortunately, impervium plating does not work with the crates there. You still do suffer a crate before you reveal it and then discard it. So he's not a great salvage carrier, and not having that double reposition, that reposition into a focus does hurt Grievous there. On the Flip side, it does open up his hard 2, which is great, or hard 1 if you're not stressed. But beyond that, he's not a really good crate carrier at all. I would give him a C for that there. For scramble, again, if you're going to focus on going after one of those objectives, and your opponent has to turn to engage Grievous or turn away, Grievous is going to scramble and have free rolls against you. He is definitely a threat there, giving him an A for scramble.
All right. So I'm going to give you the two of you. Do you think I'm going to come in? So you came in, Alex came in at a B plus, and you came in at an A minus. So we'll just say it's a cross between the two. Where do you think I'm going to land?
I think you're going to give him a B.
All right. So here we go. So with Assault, I'm going to give him a B. I'm actually going to give him a B in Assault because he does not want to be where all the objectives are. Like, I don't actually feel where the objectives are is where he wants to be. On the opposite side, he can take those objectives, and as long as he puts his butt to you, get his rerolls and not care. But the problem I have is if you create your little triangle, you can't stick Grievous by it, or Grievous is just going to die. You can now take Grievous and flank that area, but you cannot take Grievous and put him by those objectives. For Chance, I give him S tier. Flat out. I think he's S tier. And that's because you could literally take a crit and throw it into the garbage. And I will not tell you how many times I've literally had an opponent go, do I re-roll that crit? I always tell them to re-roll it. Every time. And that's because I'm a dick sometimes. And when I'm competitive, I want to win. But in reality, you should not do it, and you should burn his charge. You really need to burn those charges, or you're not going to you're not going to survive this. Salvage. Here's where a lot of us are going to disagree. I disagree with you. I think he's a B in salvage, and I think that purely for the pure fact that he can pick that crate up and do weird maneuvers and get his focus or his target lock if he really needs it, and he can still stay in the fight. You're using him when you pick that crate up differently, and I think that it becomes beneficial because typically you're putting him on the opposite side of the board of all your other ships, or the majority of them, and either they're going to focus on Grievous or they're going to leave one person to deal with Grievous. Grievous can shoot by that person, pick up that crate, and then churn in and just start hammering people, and now you're behind everything. Scramble, he's an S tier, and I'm going to say this like purely and I'm very saddened by this number here, but I say he's an S tier in that ability for scramble, purely for the pure fact that he has the ability to be on the opposite side of the field. If you take all of your, or enough of your forces to attack him, then so be it. I'm not going to scramble, and all my other ships will go scramble for me. If you choose to have one or two ships engage him and I scramble, I'm not going to die from a range 1 engagement at all. Like, I'm just not going to die. Even without a focus. You would have to double proton torp me, and on top of that, roll all your crits down and have me blank out the whole time to possibly kill me in one initiative. So with scramble, I could take that objective, and if you come at Grievous and you take the objective and you're now shooting two modless against each other, who cares? Grievous will live all day long. All day long. So he comes in for me at an A overall. I think in Assault, if I had been a little more generous, he'd come in higher. I just don't like him in Assault at all. He's that support. He becomes a support piece in Assault, is what it is. So there you go. You were wrong, AJ. I just wanted to say it.
Nice.
All right, we're gonna do
higher than I thought you were gonna do.
Yeah, I can't. I just don't want to give Greg too much credit. You know, it just gotta make Greg work for his acceptance. All right, we're gonna do one more pilot. We're gonna make it a resistance pilot. That way we have all 7 of them. I'm gonna give JJ the. Oh my God, you're doing Zari. All right, we're gonna do Zari. Bengal.
Zari. There's a name I haven't heard
Yes,
in a
the return
while.
of Zari Bangle, an A-wing that we haven't seen in quite some time here, and this is mainly for Nabi. Nabi, we're thinking of you, man. Haven't seen you in a while, but I hope that you're doing okay over there. So Zari Bangle is a RZ2 A-wing for the Resistance. The pilot ability is you do not skip your perform action steps after you partially execute a maneuver. So for this particular pilot, you're able to cover the board really well. The blues on this ship is very, very good. It does have a decent loadout for it. You can still equip like advanced optics if you wanted to with a focus. On average, you can still get 2 hits on average. At range 3, or sorry, at range 1, probably 2.2.5 hits all the time with that. The chassis allows for it to still execute those actions, because you can still essentially, instead of being locked onto the red focus, Zari would allow you to still take your regular action, and that's really big when you're considering like scramble, for instance. So starting from the beginning with assault, still pretty average. I would still give this a B. It's a fairly consistent attacker, and it has a very good dial where it can go to objective point and still contest those objectives without having to turn around, especially since it has that arc that can rotate. For chance engagement, also I would put it at a B as well. Pretty solid attacker. You can go in and bump a designated ship that you need to, and survive with 3 agility, and then just keep on shooting from the back. For salvage, definitely suffers a lot. It does need to have those boost actions to make it effective, but it can run away and still shoot as well. So I'm going to give it a C for that one. And then for scramble, definitely going to give it an A. It can do that scramble action, and still stay in the mix.
You said an A for scramble?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and a C for salvage?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Alex, what is your take on Zari, the 4-point?
I like Zari. It's tough to have Zari when Tally and Lulo are also 4 points. But I do love doing the really silly, oh, I bumped into this small base enemy. I guess I'm just going to boost past them and rotate my arc, because I can do that. It's really dirty.
It is.
Assault, I would say a B tier, because the A-wings go real fast and they can be around things. Or even doing like you can blow past people, still take the objective, kind of rotate thing. They can be anywhere. And even when you're blocked, you can still take like an evade boost or focus rotate or whatever. It's pretty nice because it's not the red action you're doing, because you don't skip your perform action steps. So even if you do bump, you get 2-ish actions. For chance, I would say B. It's hard because Zari has 11 points of loadout, but you're not putting a lot of offense on her. I mean, you could put like a Procket, but that just seems a little
Silly.
unnecessary. Yeah. So, but if you do half health her, which is kind of a pain, so you have to pin her down and get through 3 agility, it's still only 2 points. So I think that bumps it up to a B in chance. In salvage, see, it's a tough call, because you can just 5 straight evade rotate if people are chasing you, still get a shot off. You still have a bunch of blues. You get 3 bank, focus, 3 bank, evade, whatever you want to do with that, the rotate. Oh, man. So I'd probably say a B, actually. I mean, boosts are pretty vital to A-wings, but the fact that you can rotate backwards, I think, really helps it out a lot. It's much more of a runaway with the box than it is doing anything else. And for scramble, I would also say a B. I do like the grab the objective boost that they can do, which really helps out a lot. But also you're an I3, and if there's anyone else around, that kind of sucks. But you can flank really fast, though, with the 5 straight and get the other scrambled piece that they put on their side of the board. So that helps. I think a B is solid for that.
All right. So I'm probably going to be the weird oddball one here.
I was the oddball one.
No, I think I'm going to be a lot crazier than you, I think. All right. So with Assault is the one where I say, I think she does not want to be anywhere near there. So I say C with Assault because it makes it a little bit more predictable. But then I got to say, oh, crap, I got to bump that up to a B because as long as you don't kill her, she can still go into the mix. As long as she can survive one salvo, she can run away and collect other objectives. So in reality, it becomes almost a B. In chance, I think 100% she's an A. And I say that because, and this is where it's gonna get crazy here. I'm gonna get really crazy, and I think people should be running Zari. I think the issue with Zari is she needs one more point of loadout, and she becomes a beast. Period. And I say the reason I say that is because with them lowering these to 4 points and the 2-point BB-8 and a 3-point fin, you literally can create a list of, and we didn't get into archetypes tonight, but you can create a big salad control list with resistance with Zari. Because even though she's an I3, at chance, she's still only worth 2 points, half-pointed, 4 points if you kill her. You have to focus fire with her. She has 2 talent slots. What does she have? Oh, she's got Starboard Slash. So I can bump into you and boost through you. And Starboard Slash does not say... Let me double check before I say that. Oh, it does say after you fully execute a maneuver. All right. Yep. So never mind. So it's not as good as I thought it is. So you get rid of Starboard Slash. But either which way, you could still use something like that. You could put automated target priority on her. You can literally change and put elusive if you want to be super defensive. I don't like elusives on 8 wings as much because I feel it's a 2-point mod that kind of goes away. In salvage, I would give her a B because you really don't want to pick up a crate. But again, you can pick up a crate and run away because it's only 4 points. And you can literally use it to just run away 5 straight, 3 hard, 5 straight, 3 hard, and you could just circle your board with a crate. And yeah, it's 4 points, but whatever. In Scramble, I think 100% in Scramble, she is an S tier. And I'm gonna like I'm gonna be very aggressive in saying that for the pure fact that she can bump and scramble that. Yes, she's an I3, but now you're forcing every initiative higher that comes in on her to avoid mods. So now you have to have a coordinating ship, and you have to waste your coordinate to not double mod a ship. Can you imagine Wedge rolling up and saying, I'm going to shoot Zari and with just 1 mod? Okay, whatever. I don't care. I'm going to take automated targeting priority on Zari. I'm going to purposely never re-roll my dice and pile calculates up on her so that when I get into the mix, I'm going to go, free calculate. I'm going to scramble, take a calculate, scramble, take a calculate. I don't know. I think Zari, personally, is a slept upon A-Wing. I actually would almost put this over. I know I was very high on Tally, but I think I would put this over Tally. I think I would, because I think Tally with a proton torp is just not as good. Lulo better than her, but I think for 4 points, Zari at I3 really makes a huge dent on everything.
Wow, I didn't expect that. That's actually really interesting. I never thought about the interaction with automated targeting. Yeah,
it's very weird. You can double mod her. You could take missiles if you want. That's fine. You could technically do that. But I don't know. I think Zari is a slept upon character that we're not looking at. So
I mean, clusters with munitions failsafe and then just get 2 calculates.
Oh, you're killing me. Oh my god, that's actually really good. I didn't think about that. That's a good one, JJ.
ATP is that if you're bumping a lot with Zari, you're just getting those range zero shots.
Range zero.
And you have to take the range zero because that is the closest shot. And that's kind of rough for me. I never liked that.
But if you think about it, you only have to deal with that one. I mean, to some extent, you might not have to deal with it because you can always barrel roll and boost around the ship. Like, just so you know, like, that's the thing. You can also barrel roll, rotate. You can boost, rotate. Like, there's a lot. I think there's a lot of variability. And I think I'm not a resistance player that often, so I could be a little off in my categorization of her. But I really do genuinely think that that's a piece we should be looking at. And I think it's an underutilized piece that should highly be looked at overall. So, well, all right. Well, thank you all for joining us for episode 83. I apologize we did not get to our Academy 101 segment. We will get to that next week. I will give a caveat. So my nephew plays hockey, and we're going to Saginaw next weekend. So actually, I'll be very close to you, Alex. I might.
Close. Saginaw's not close.
It's close to Detroit. It's like an hour from Detroit.
Closer than Grand Rapids. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever. I
would definitely urge on the side of caution, saying that we will not have a show next week.
No. Because
I myself am going to be traveling. I'm going to be on my way to Connecticut next Sunday, so I don't know if I'll make it in time for a cast. It's going to be about a 10-hour drive for me. So, yeah.
All right. Well, you have to get up at 6 a.m. so that way you're there by 6 p.m. and you can set up for your show. So we will have a cast next Sunday unless JJ wins. Hey, Alex can join me instead of JJ. There we go. We'll just do that.
Oh, I mean, I'm probably not doing anything next Sunday. That'll be fine.
There you go. We'll do more of this if JJ doesn't join. So usually they don't win enough, but if for some reason they do win and I'm there till like 8 o'clock, I will not be able to do a cast. But I'll let everybody know ahead of time. And what we'll do is we'll just move the cast to Monday night. And again, Alex, you're welcome to join next week, Monday, if you want, or Sunday or Monday, whichever day we do it. But as long as JJ's around Monday night, we'll do, we can move the cast to Monday night if my hockey game goes really long. Or not my nephew's hockey game. I'm not actually playing hockey. I'm I'm just there observing and paying for all the damn food, and booze. And so there's that. And the hockey jerseys and the hockey, whatever, all the crap that we have to buy.
You're paying for booze for kids? The hell?
Oh yeah. We get them shit faced and let them go fly on the ice. All right, I should probably edit that out. With that being said, Alex, thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you would like to follow Alex's podcast, the Best Spin Benchwarmers air at least once a month.
Oh man, that's generous.
It's
at
least
to be a little bit more consistent. Cody has really caused a lot of the problems. I'll throw him under the bus. He's traveling a lot.
Cody, you need to get a portable setup for your mic and your mic there, buddy. Anyway. But either which way, if you like to listen to any of the Best Spin Benchwarmers podcasts, you can listen to them. You go back the last couple episodes. Last time they didn't talk about me, but the time before they talked about me. So if you want to hear them talk shit about me, you're welcome to.
And we did record today, so I can guarantee you that will be out eventually.
Okay. Maybe you should send them. I'll edit your podcast for you. We'll make one big conglomerate podcast. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have one
phase Benchwarmers.
There you go. The Planning Phase Benchwarmers, the new podcast name. Okay. Oh my god. All right.
Warmer phase.
What'd you say?
The Benchwarmer phase. That's what it is.
The benchwarming phase. That might work too. Syndicate. The Benchwarmer Syndicate. That's my favorite so far.
Yeah.
All right. With that being said, thank you so much for joining us. We will be back later this week. If you would like to catch us for Kyber Cup, I will try to schedule my games as much as I can, either on Scott's stream or on Greg's stream. I have no idea what Greg's streaming this week, but you can typically catch me playing my games on Greg's stream as much as I can. Thank you all for joining us. We will be back next week, 9 p.m. Eastern time, with more Planning Phase Syndicate.